Hi, I'm John, the lead pastor at Grace Life, and I'm excited about our new series on Galatians. I hope you're enjoying it, and if you haven't tuned in yet, I hope that you kick in and enjoy the study with us. So, last Sunday, I titled my sermon, The Hi-Fi Gospel. That was not Wi-Fi, it's hi-fi. Going back to the 80s, we had this high fidelity stereo systems, and high fidelity means there's a high congruence of accuracy and quality between the original and then like the recording on cassettes or the vinyl. Remember those days? Some of you. Anyway, and so Paul's gospel is high fidelity in that he got his gospel directly from Jesus. And so there's a high degree of quality and accuracy, and we also think then of authority. And so the gospel that Paul is preaching is an Old Testament law-free gospel that includes the Gentiles. And that's super different than the Jews were thinking about, all right? Now, in this culture, if you remember, the term gospel was a common word, and it just simply means good news. And it was used in the first century in the context of like a new king bringing in a new kingdom, because he maybe had conquered new territory, which includes new people coming into the kingdom. And so there's new benefits, there's new resources, it's expanding, and there's a new way of life. So all of this is called the good news in the political climate. And so when the gospel writers come along, they co-opt the term gospel, good news, and they apply it to Jesus, which makes a lot of sense because Jesus is the new king, he has a new kingdom, and he has conquered new territory, right? Sin, death, and darkness, and there are new people coming into his kingdom, and there's a new way of life, a new celebration. So it's really a perfect word, that gospel, the good news. But until Jesus met Saul, on the road to Damascus, there was no gospel like this, okay? This is a new thing. And because it was new, that means there's no place to park it. I mean, it doesn't fit anywhere. Certainly not in any of the Jewish religious world. It's an odd bird. It upsets their whole world. It upsets their economy, their religion, even their culture. And so while Paul is preaching Gentiles can be saved without observing the law, the Jews are preaching that Gentiles have to observe the law in order to be saved. And so we have this train wreck that we're seeing here in the text in Galatians and Acts 13, 14, and 15. So Paul's Old Testament law-free gospel, including the Gentiles, it came from God alone. He met Jesus on the road to Damascus, right? And he's arguing for justification by faith alone, not through works of the law. And it's lifting up Jesus alone. Again, not works of the law. And it includes Jews and Gentiles. So not even Jews have to do the law to be saved. This is a fundamental shift that's very difficult for everybody to figure out. So Paul is fighting for the purity of the gospel in Galatians. He doesn't want anyone to add anything to the gospel. He says if you add something to the gospel, you're cursed. You're wrecking the gospel, all right? And so in our culture, we don't really think about adding Old Testament law codes to, new believers or to become saved. But what do we add? What do you add to your gospel? Is your gospel the same gospel as the gospel of Jesus and Paul? What does our culture add to the gospel? Or better yet, what does our subculture of evangelical Christianity, what kind of things do we see that are added to the gospel? So those are some good questions, and we'll have some more questions that you can use with your life group or maybe just with your family around the dinner table. But I'd love to invite you to our series on Galatians and to continue to think about the implications of the gospel of Jesus Christ.